Good morning, everybody. This is your Monday morning kickstart. I hope you've had a fantastic weekend, and let's get this week off to a flying start. So first off, some news this week. Remember, the clocks changed on Sunday. So if you're outside of a country where the clocks change, just double check what time the speaking sessions are, just to make sure that you get there at the correct time. You'll also see attached to the Monday morning kickstart email, you will see a little document, takes a couple of minutes to read, and these are just some guidelines for the speaking sessions. And I've created these actually because a few of you messaged me talking about the things that we mentioned there. So a few people mentioned that it's quite difficult to have a conversation with someone if they've got their camera switched off. It's hard to see the expressions in their face, to know if they've finished speaking or not. It's very hard to communicate with a black screen. So just a couple of guidelines there for you guys when you're joining speaking sessions. So I'd be grateful if you just take a couple of minutes to read through them. You've also got a really useful link in there for testing your microphone and testing your camera before you join the speaking sessions. So it lets you hear back what others can hear when you're speaking, just so that you can double check that your microphone is working correctly. So be really grateful if you can have a quick read through of that before your next speaking session. As well as that, I'll be adding the November timetable to our group very soon, in the next day or two. So keep an eye out for that, just so that you know what book we're going to be reading, any special bonus classes, anything added to the calendar for November. Moving on to my thoughts this week. So I wanted to talk to you today a little bit about something that I talk about a lot. I talk about this regularly, but it's so important for your mindset on this journey that I wanted to mention it again to you guys. And this is the topic of today is around making mistakes. Okay? So, as you guys know, on this course, we see mistakes as a good thing. Okay? Mistakes show us what we still need to work on, what's still challenging for us, so that we can go away and fix those things. If everything's perfect, if you've got 100% in your tests, then we don't know what we have to teach you next. So often what happens, and I see this a lot, language academies tend to do this, or teachers tend to do this, is you have a test at the end of the month, okay, to test you on what you've been learning that month on a course, okay? So if you've been learning conditionals and you've been learning 10 phrasal verbs, then at the end of the month, your teacher gives you a test on conditionals and 10 phrasal verbs to see if you remember what they've taught you, right? This is kind of standard. So we do things a little bit differently here with your mock exams, okay? And there's a reason behind this, okay? So every 6 weeks, we do a mock exam, yeah? And from that mock exam, we're looking at what mistakes you're making, what things you still find difficult, so that we can fix those things in your next mock exam, okay? Now, the reason I am not pre-teaching you vocabulary or pre-teaching you the answers to your mock exam is because the mock exams are to show us when we're ready to sit the real exam. Now, if I pre-teach you all the language that you're going to need for your mock exam, and then you suddenly get 95% in your mock exam, and then you think, fantastic, I've got 95%, I'm doing brilliantly, I can go book my exam now. Okay? But what's actually happened is we're not ready for the exam. I've just basically helped you cheat on the exam. I've given you the answers, I've pre-taught you the answers, which has given you that elevated score. Okay? What I would much rather do, and I think what is much more honest, and why we get 100% pass rates in the real exam, is because we're not pre-teaching you things to cheat on the exams. Okay? The reason we're not doing that is so that when you do your mock exam, we can look at your scores, and these are realistic scores of what you would score in the exam, number one. And number two, it shows us what we still need to learn. So you might find that, okay, some of the things that you've already learned in the course, some of them did appear in the exam, but there's lots of other things that you haven't learned yet, and those are things that we need to work on. So if, for example, in the use of English, you'd been learning conditional structures during the month, and a few conditional questions came up, you got those right, awesome. But you got lots of questions wrong with some set phrases and some inversions and some passives. And that's totally fine because you haven't learned those yet. But that shows me, okay, that's something that you need to work on still. That's something that you don't know yet and something that we need to fix and solve. Okay? So we can see from your mock exams what things you still need to work on. Once you start regularly scoring over 70% on a regular basis, that shows us that, okay, you've learned pretty much everything that you need to be able to pass the exam, and then we can go book it and be confident that you're going to pass it. If sometimes your scores are up above 70 and the next week it's at 50, again, all that shows us, it doesn't show us that you're getting worse at English or that things are not going well, that you're not improving. It just shows us that in one test, it happened to have things that you'd already studied and learned and felt confident about. And in the other test were perhaps other things that you hadn't learned yet and that we need to focus on. So again, it's not a bad thing that's happened. It just shows us the holes in your vocabulary, or the holes in your grammar, or the holes in your technique that we need to focus on and work on before you sit your exam. And of course, again, once they're regularly scoring above 70%, and we're not having those ups and downs, then we know you've kind of covered everything and you're ready to go for your exam. Okay? So that is a reason that I don't cheat and pre-teach you things, which you will find other teachers and other schools do so that they can make you feel better, make you feel like you're learning loads and you've gone from B2 to C1 level in 1 week, which is unrealistic and it's not something that's possible. But that is the reason why we do it, and we're honest with you guys about the exam results. Okay, but please remember, the most important thing when we are looking at those mistakes is that we're working out what the issue is, that we're analysing them so that we know what we need to fix, okay? If when you're analysing, you just say, I need to fix vocabulary, that doesn't help as much. There's a hell of a lot of words in the English language. If you notice that you're having problems with vocabulary with nature or the environment or sport or whatever it is, then that's useful. That helps us. We know what area to target, what area to focus on, okay? If you just say we're struggling with grammar, again, not very useful. If we know specifically what grammar points you're finding tricky, then we can fix those things and work on those things, okay? One at a time. If we have a list of 20 grammar points that we need to work on, that's awesome. That's great. We can definitely work on those things. But again, we can't fix all of those things in 1 week. We can't fix all of those things in 6 weeks. We need time to fix those step by step, okay? That is why it takes about an average of, or a minimum of, 6 months to prepare for the exam. Because there's a lot of things to cover, guys. And that's not a bad thing, okay? The point of this course is, yes, absolutely, we want to get you past the exam, we want to get you a great mark, but we also want to help you improve your English as well, improve your fluency, improve your confidence, improve your vocabulary and your language skills as well. And again, that is something that takes time and cannot be, no matter how many people say it can magically be solved in a couple of weeks. That is just marketing. It absolutely cannot. It takes time, okay? But the methodologies that we are using of little and often consistent practice is the fastest way to get you there, to get you to your goals of improving your English and passing your exam. Think of the exam like you're going to read a book. When you first start your course, we're going to be opening the book and starting on chapter 1. Our end goal is to finish the book, get to the end of the book. But in order to get to the end of the book, we need to read chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, chapter 5. We can't jump to chapter 42 and know everything that was in the book before it, okay? We have to take things step by step, one thing at a time, focusing on our biggest issue, our biggest problem, our thing that we need to work on first, laying the foundations, and then eventually we will get to chapter 42 and we will absolutely smash the exam. We will finish the book, but we have to do it step by step. We have to do it little and often, consistently, because have you ever read a book and you start it and you read like 2 chapters and then you leave it for a couple of months and you don't read it, and then you come back and you try and read on from where you left off and you're like, I've forgotten everything, and you have to go and start the book again because you've forgotten everything. Same thing can happen with your English. If we stop and start, or only study 1 day a week and not during the rest of the week, then we keep on having to go back to chapter 1 again. And that's when it can take years and years and years to prepare for the exam and to see that progress because of the stopping and starting, okay? But if we do a little bit every day, like reading a book, if we read 5 or 10 pages every day, then we'll have finished it in a few months, okay? If we stop and start, it takes years. Or we just give up and we never finish it and we throw the book away, okay? But we do not want to do that. We want to finish the book. We want to smash the exam and boost your confidence and fluency and level of English. So in summary, mistakes are great. They show us what we need to work on, but only if we analyze and look exactly at the why we're making those mistakes so that we know what to fix. And the third thing we talked about there was that I'm not going to help you cheat in exams by pre-teaching things, okay? We need the mistakes to know what you need to work on next, okay? So I hope that makes sense. I hope that helps you guys and helps you feel kind of motivated and good and kind of that change of mindset, that kind of more positive mindset before about your progression and your mistakes. Guys, I will see you in the speaking sessions this week. Have a great one. And as usual, if you have any questions, please do let me know. If you want to tell me what your main takeaways were from today's podcast, let's continue the conversation in the Telegram group. Take care.